Hello and welcome to World Today. We have a lot packed for you, from a very eventful week, from the US presidential debate to the political turmoil in Pakistan and the FATF plenary that was held in Paris. Now let's begin with the US presidential debate. Here's what the final debate looked like, with a mute button. Yes, a mute button was introduced given the last time's experience where nobody allowed each other to talk. They spoke over each other, but this time around it was a riled India with Trump trashing India, calling India filthy, and the Democrats have used that to their advantage in their campaign posters.
Both the presidential candidates walked into the debate carrying the baggage of their own particular disadvantages. One, the sitting president looking for validation. The other, who was the vice president for 8 years before Trump took over.
One is responsible for not taking control.
So a lot of the banter in this final debate was over broken promises and lost opportunities by their respective administrations.
About questions regarding
Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially. Anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America.
I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama, because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run. I would have never run. I ran because of you. I'm looking at you now. You're a politician. I ran because of you. I don't make money from Russia.
While the debate was more civil than the previous instance, all credit to the mute button. It was COVID that was one of the issues in contention, and Trump seemed on the back foot on his handling of the pandemic.
We have a vaccine that's coming. It's ready. It's going to be announced within weeks, and it's going to be delivered. We have Operation Warp Speed, which is the military is going to distribute the vaccine. I can tell you from personal experience that I was in the hospital. I had it. And I got better, and I will tell you that I had something that they gave me, a therapeutic, I guess they would call it. Some people could say it was a cure. But I was in for a short period of time, and I got better very fast, or I wouldn't be here tonight. And now they say I'm immune. Whether it's 4 months or a lifetime, nobody's been able to say that, but I'm immune.
Make sure it's totally transparent. Have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way, this is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same fellow who told you that, don't worry, we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter, and he has no clear plan, and there's no prospect that there's going to be a vaccine available for the majority of the American people before the middle of next year. And when? Why would
If there was a point of agreement, then that was when both candidates agreed that economic and social shutdown was not the solution to defeating the virus. But when it came to the core issue of healthcare, they obviously had to differ, given the history of all the bad blood over what is called Obamacare.
Obama, he didn't like him. 99.9% of young people recover. 99% of people recover. We have to recover. We can't close up our nation. We have to open our school, and we can't close up our nation, or you're not going to have a nation.
He says that we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. You folks home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit, where their wife or husband was, is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it because he has never said, he said it's dangerous. When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? Are we dangerous? You tell the people it's dangerous now? What should they do about the danger? And you say, I take no responsibility. Last time we were on stage here, he said, I told him to stand down and stand ready.
Biden accused Trump of having not just looked the other way on racism and police brutality, but having condoned racism.
I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark.
Trump called himself the least racist person in the room and questioned Biden on laws the Democrats had promulgated in the 90s that put many blacks in prison over petty crimes.
Presidents we've had in modern history.
I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I took care of black colleges and universities. I don't know what to say. They can say anything. I mean, they can say anything. It makes me sad because I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark, but I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
There is institutional racism in America. And we have always said, we've never lived up to it, that we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal. Well, guess what? We have never, ever lived up to it, but we've always constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion, not exclusion. This is the first president to come along and says, that's the end of that. We're not going to do that anymore. We have to provide for economic opportunity, better education, better health care, better access to schooling, better access to opportunity to borrow money to start businesses. All the things we can do, and I've laid out a clear plan as to how to do those things, just to give people a shot. It's about accumulating the ability to have wealth as well as it is to be free from violence.
It was in climate change that India entered the debate. Trump once again likened India to China and Russia in dismal records and singled out India as filthy.
Look at China, how filthy it is. Look at Russia. Look at India. It's filthy. The air is filthy. The Paris Accord, I took us out because we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great service. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies because of the Paris Accord.
Indian viewers watching the US presidential debate may have expressed dismay at Trump's India's filthy comment, but how it will impact Indian American voters is yet to be ascertained. Second and third generation ethnic Indian citizens of USA may not be overtly perturbed because they would categorize Trump's comment not as an ethnic or racial slur against Indians, but more as a national failing of the country that is India.
US President Donald Trump often turns to Abraham Lincoln, who was from the same party as that of Trump, when he speaks of legacy issues. This time around, with all the political developments in the US, the focus has been race relations. Black Lives Matter has had a resonance in almost all 50 states of the United States of America, but also the handling of the coronavirus pandemic by President Trump is an issue. Let's take a look at how the Indian Americans are viewing the polls.
Recent election polls in US show that Joe Biden is leading. Trump has picked up points. Several polls show that a majority of Americans strongly disapprove of the president's handling of the coronavirus. According to a recent Reuters poll, 37% of adults approved of Donald Trump's management of the pandemic, while 59% disapproved. But the incumbent US president continues to remain defiant.
Optimism will boom. The pandemic, it's rounding the turn. Vaccines are coming. And I look fine, don't I? You know. And we'll get back to a normal life. That's what we want. Just 7 months ago. We want to get back. It will be better than that very soon.
A first-generation Indian physician in the US who voted for Republican Donald Trump in 2016 has decided to go for the Democratic candidate Joe Biden this time.
I don't think it was an adequate response because whenever we have to deal with a medical issue, the sooner we know, the earlier we can diagnose it, the easier the treatment is, and less invasive the treatment is, and the recovery is quicker.
Many feel that by hiding the severity of the virus from American people, the US president has betrayed their trust.
It was not nipped in the bud. We did not know early on till I read the book Rage and read Bob Woodward's recording of Donald Trump himself saying in February that this is a highly contagious thing, it's airborne disease, and the fatality rate is higher than flu. But it was not told to the population, to the public.
The pandemic seems to have further divided America. A doctor by profession, Dr. Anjana Samadev from Ohio is a COVID-19 survivor. She strongly feels that people too have failed to realize the importance of the pandemic.
Even now, when they're saying that you have to wear the mask, our governor is saying you're supposed to do the social distancing, a lot of people are not listening. Younger, the bars are full. I myself have seen it. People outside on the streets, sitting on top of each other. They're not following the rules. The government cannot come to every individual person and watch them, what they're doing.
Not just the Indian Americans, US citizens of different ethnicities and their voting choices might be a reflection of how the current US president is viewed in their countries of origin. This because Trump and his America First policies have transformed how the superpower is viewed around the world, most of it being negative. A survey done by Pew Research Center says there is unlikely to be a period of global mourning if President Trump fails to win a second term 2 weeks from now. In most of the 32 countries surveyed by Pew, fewer than 30% of the people have confidence in Trump to do the right thing regarding world affairs. Mexico 8% and Germany 13% are on the lower end, while confidence in Trump is highest in the Philippines at 77% and Israel at 71%. In India, 56% of people expressed confidence in Trump. But Trump only fares better in 2 countries compared to what Barack Obama did at the end of his tenure. Though Russia distrusts Trump 20%, but when it comes to Obama, it ran deeper. Israel is the country where Trump enjoys equal confidence as in Russia.
Welcome back to World Today. Now, before I talk about the political turmoil in Pakistan, let's just take you through all the news that's doing the rounds from across the globe in World at a Glance.
On Friday, the United Nations announced that the 2 sides of the Libyan military had reached a historic achievement with a permanent ceasefire agreement across the war-torn North African country. Though fine details were not immediately available, but the 2 sides took part in a signing ceremony in Geneva. Libya is split between a UN-supported government in the capital Tripoli and rival authorities based in the east. The 2 sides are backed by an array of local militia as well as regional and foreign powers. The country plunged into chaos after the 2011 NATO-backed uprising that toppled and killed longtime dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Pro-democracy protests continued in Thailand throughout the week with only 1-day break on Thursday. This despite an emergency decree in force that makes their gatherings illegal. The protest movement was launched months ago by university students but increased in frequency and intensity last week. The government seeks to diffuse the tension by having a parliamentary debate on the political crisis from 26th October. Chile's political parties held their final rallies 3 days before the historic plebiscite supporting a change to the constitution. The entire opposition is seeking to replace the constitution. Pro-government parties, which are formally opposed to changing the constitution, plan to hold an event on Monday, the day after the plebiscite. Changing the constitution enacted under the former dictator Augusto Pinochet was the key demand of protesters during the months of violent civil unrest that rocked Chile since October 2018. Pope Francis remained in the news throughout the week. On Tuesday, he joined religious and political leaders at Rome for a prayer for peace, wearing a mask for the first time. And he continued to wear it throughout the ceremony. On Wednesday, the world woke up to a news of Pope Francis endorsing same-sex civil unions for the first time as the head of Catholic Church. He said this while being interviewed for the feature-length documentary Francesco that premiered at Rome Film Festival this week. On Friday, a flag-raising ceremony was held in Budapest to celebrate the Hungarian national holiday commemorating the 1956 anti-Soviet revolution. The brief but bloody 1956 uprising began on October 23rd. As the revolution spread, Soviet forces started entering the country and the uprising was put down within weeks.
A political storm is brewing in Pakistan. Opposition parties have united under the umbrella Pakistan Democratic Movement. It includes traditional arch rivals such as Bhutto Zardari's Pakistan People's Party, Nawaz Sharif's Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, Fazlur Rahman's JUI and 8 other political parties. Established in September 2020, they launched an attack on Imran Khan's government with massive rallies held in October. Those rallies have certainly unsettled the power citadel in Islamabad and in Rawalpindi.
On 19th October, the Pakistani police arrested the son-in-law of the country's exiled former leader Nawaz Sharif. Mohammad Safdar was charged with violating the sanctity of the mausoleum of the founder of Pakistan and damaging official property, and for allegedly threatening a citizen with dire consequences. His wife, Maryam Nawaz, who is vice president of PMLN, alleged political prosecution. The opposition leaders sought investigation for use of Pakistan Rangers against the PMLN leader and also for reportedly abducting the Inspector General of Sindh Police, Mushtaq Ahmad Meher, and coercing him to sign the arrest warrant of the PMLN leader.
अभी वो अपने कपड़े तब्दील कर रहे थे कि मुझे दरवाज़ा तोड़ने की आवाज़ें आई और उन्होंने वो जो सिक्योरिटी लैच होता है दरवाजे का उसको तोड़ा, जोर से ज़बरदस्ती से उसको तोड़ा और कमरे के अंदर आ गए। और मैं सो रही थी, मैं बेड में थी और सफदर ने उनको कहा कि आप अंदर मत आएं, मैं बाहर आ रहा हूँ, आप अंदर मत आएं, मैं अपनी दवाइयाँ ले रहा हूँ क्योंकि वो डायबिटिक है, इंसुलिन डिपेंडेंट है। तो उन्होंने कहा मैं अपनी दवाई ले लूँ, मैं आपके साथ चलता हूँ, आप अंदर मत आएं। लेकिन वो फिर भी अंदर आ गए, वो अंदर आ गए और सफदर को गिरफ्तार करके ले गए।
एक साजिश के तहत सूबे सिंध के कराची में ये हरकत की गई कि यहाँ पर हुकूमत पाकिस्तान पीपल्स पार्टी की है। इस तरह पीडीएम और पीपल्स पार्टी के दरमियान बदएतमादी पैदा हो जाएगी, मुस्लिम लीग नून और पीपल्स पार्टी के दरमियान बदएतमादी पैदा हो जाएगी।
After a day-long drama in court, the PMLN leader was granted bail and the couple left Karachi. But Karachi continued to boil. Karachi police officers went on mass protest leave, forcing the Pakistan Army Chief General Qamar Javed Bajwa to order an inquiry into the arrest. The United Front of 11 opposition parties, Pakistan Democratic Front, also had its second rally on Sunday in Karachi.
पूरे पाकिस्तान की जमहूरी कुव्वतें एक स्टेज पे भी है, एक पेज पे भी है। अब इस हुकूमत को, इस सिलेक्टेड को, इनके सिलेक्टर्स को हमारा पेज पे आना पड़ेगा, वरना इन सबको जाना पड़ेगा, जाना पड़ेगा, जाना पड़ेगा।
On Tuesday, 20th October, Maryam Nawaz was booked chanting slogans against the government and the state institutions, causing trouble for citizens, blocking roads, using loudspeakers and microphones, and violating coronavirus standard operating procedures.
Last 1 week has exceeded all the disappointments of the world in terms of mishandling by Imran Khan of every situation domestically, be it politics, be it the price rise in the market, be it shortage of commodities, and be it his relationship even with the army.
The United Opposition Front plans a series of protest rallies. Quetta on October 25, followed by Peshawar, Multan, Lahore, and then in January, the opposition says it will march to Islamabad.
Staying with Pakistan, at the FATF plenary held in Paris on the 21st to 23rd of October, it was decided that Pakistan will continue to remain on the grey list. President of the FATF, Marcus Pliers, said that Pakistan was found deficient, seriously deficient on a few counts, and those were very serious areas where Pakistan was found deficient. So Pakistan will stay on the grey list at the FATF, and this comes at a time when there are alarming reports of resurgence of terror groups within the country. Taha Siddiqui with this exclusive report.
This September, the city of Karachi witnessed the largest ever anti-Shia protests in recent times. For 2 consecutive days, on September 11th and 12th, thousands of protesters took to the streets, waving pro-Sunni flags and calling Shias kafirs. Many of the protesters were carrying flags of a radical Sunni organization, Sipah-e-Sahaba Pakistan. It was banned twice by former Pakistani military dictator President Pervez Musharraf in 2002 and then again in 2012 under Pakistan's Anti-Terrorism Act. Despite the ban, it continued to function and grow in strength under the banner of Ahle Sunnat wal Jamaat with the leadership of Ahmad Ludhianvi and Aurangzeb Farooqi. Pakistan's troubles are unending. In a massive blow to Imran Khan's embattled government, the global terror finance watchdog has given a final ultimatum. Pakistan continues to remain in the grey list of FATF for failing to fulfill key obligations. Pakistan has failed to take any action against UN-designated global terrorists Hafiz Saeed, Maulana Masood Azhar, Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi and Dawood Ibrahim. That's not all. 4,000 terrorists disappeared from Pakistan's original list of 7,600 from its Schedule 4 of Anti-Terrorism Act. Pakistan was shamed for failing to fulfill 6 key obligations which it promised to comply to.
Militants focused on Kashmir and India are regrouping in Punjab area. Militants focused on Afghanistan and Pakistan are regrouping in the Pakistani tribal belt next to the Afghan-Pakistan border. And also recently we saw an emergence and rise of anti-Shia militants and Sunni extremist groups who held rallies in the city of Karachi. Although most of these groups are banned, but they continue to operate with impunity in the country, and analysts believe that these bans are just for paperwork and formality to satisfy international bodies like FATF, while on the ground these militants continue to operate as from before. And for some time we saw that they went low profile, but once again we're seeing a re-emergence and regrouping across the country, which is quite alarming.
Such resurgence is not limited to Sunni extremist and Kashmir-focused militants only. Investigators also point to the Pakistani Taliban reassembling in the country once again. And this rise of the Pakistani Taliban coincides with the rise of the Afghan Taliban on the other side of the Durand Line, the border that divides Pakistan and Afghanistan.
That's all in this week's edition of World Today. But before I go, I leave you with visuals of festivities of Navratri being celebrated not in India but in Pakistan. For all the criticism that Pakistan faces, Karachi is a city that is vibrant with minority community over there celebrating Navratri festival, not just amongst the Hindu community but all the minorities come together. Take a look and enjoy the Dandiya from Karachi.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.